Stickers don't work. Did you pay for a sticker? I'm so sorry I paid for a sticker, SK Hunter. Stickers do work. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot I think their office is open though. I forgot the key to go get coffee. I'm back from the dentist. It went relatively well. I took the day off for the dentist stuff. I have 3 dentist appointments this week and next. Possibly a root canal, depending on how much this one hurts when the anesthesia comes off. The dentist is like, this is very, very close to a root canal, but not. So he says, let's just kind of see how it goes. If it bothers you, you can go get a root canal. Which I would rather not do. I have some other topics I want to talk to everybody about with regard to biking and streaming and stuff. French roast. Hey, Predator. That's weird. Your comments didn't show up on my other one. I don't know what's wrong with that. How you doing? Sami, how you doing? Actually, how you doing today? After I beat you up yesterday. Yeah, it's not showing up. That's weird. It's very odd. Anyway, I feel a lot better today. Got a lot bigger handle on stuff. I ordered a new wheel set for my Pixie, which is a way better wheel set. I probably should have got that in the first place. It's very weird. You guys' comments are not coming through on my app. I do not know why. I'm gonna restart this. It's kind of weird. Like, why isn't it working? But it's not. I can see your stuff on the screen, but I can't see it on here. I'm getting like Restream bot stuff, but yeah, if I go here in real-time chat, it's not showing. Kind of weird, you know? It's like, why isn't it showing here? I wonder if I have to reconnect. No idea. Anyway, trying to decide. I'm actually going to go sit out here for a second. Just take a nice coffee break outside. It's a brilliant day outside. Oh, look, I moved the chair and I kept it here. Yep. My shoes came undone. So I have some stuff to ask. I've been trying to organize my time better. So, Misha, how you doing? I have to fix this. Did you manage to figure out the pod mic container for the beginner boost? You're probably following the video, but you're getting errors. A couple people had errors, but it depends on how old the container is. I refreshed the container last Sunday, and it works. We're definitely gonna Go through it. The main thing you want to do is get Linux on. I mean, get Linux on WSL2 on Windows, and get Git and GitHub on the GitHub command line tool and everything. That's the goal. And then I'm going to make some videos about that. But why is this not working? It definitely is not working. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Got a Pixie. Maybe like something doesn't have the features of one of your other bikes. Oh no, I love Pixies. I've always loved Pixies. In fact, okay, it came back. Your guys' videos, your stuff's coming through now. Yeah, so this is one of the things I'm contemplating. So, especially now that I'm getting my teeth fixed and everything, and I'm getting old, so I'm not sure I actually want a road bike or even a mountain bike. I can't believe I'm saying that in Logan, Utah, with all the possibilities here. What I'm just realizing is that I've always been a fixie rider. I mean, I like riding in urban settings. I like exploring food more than I like exploring different mountains, So yeah, recently I've been going through my list of activities every day or every week, and I have a lot, and I'm like, I need to start cutting back on things. Like, I do too many things, and it gets me stressed out because there's too many things I want to do, You have WSL2 and VS Code and Podman installed, but Podman build -gboost gives me some errors when you try to run. Are you running Podman inside of Linux, George? Or are you running Podman inside of Windows? Did you do apt install Podman? I'm just curious. I'm about to make a video. I'm gonna recreate a video that is setting up WSL, and it's gonna be a really short and sweet video. I reset the Windows machine that I installed it on earlier during the boost. I'm gonna make a video of just installing WSL2. Smart choice, go paddleboarding, right? Inside the WSL terminal, you had problems with the beginner boost container. I'm really curious to see what they are. Do you know what the exact error is? Is it related to Vim? If it's related to Vim, you might be using the old one. If you have like the main error and you want to post it to the chat, I can maybe help you debug it right now. I have rollerblades. I love rollerblades. I love rollerblades. I love paddleboarding. I love paddle skating. Longboarding. I pretty much love everything. The second one. So if you got the NeoVim error, then that means you're using an old copy of the boost container. Because the new one, I commented that line out so it would go on. It doesn't look as good because it's just using Vim and not NeoVim. But I'm actually gonna change it. So I'm gonna change it to the boost container doesn't use NeoVim anymore. Imagine not having to work and do all this fun stuff. I have today off because of my dental problem, but it wasn't as much work as I thought, so I'm just gonna take it. I have so much work to catch up on and cleaning and boost stuff and everything, which just got me wondering about all this. A directory not empty, error running container, bind mounting root file system. What? That doesn't make any sense. Where are you running that from? Are you running it from your home directory? I wonder if it's because you're trying to run it from someplace else. You're logging into WSL. Oh, I bet you're on the mount. You're on /MNT, right? Oh, I think I know exactly what's happening. No. How you doing, all? Dana's texting me. So, why I changed the NeoVim regular Vim already seemed good enough. It doesn't do everything. That's what we're going to find out. There's a couple of things that NeoVim does that regular Vim doesn't, and most of them I thought was Tree Sitter. I thought Tree Sitter was the main reason. Okay, so George, your error is probably because you're in the wrong directory. If you when you go to WSL, make sure you're in your home directory. Because if you're under the MNT directory, that's the Windows directory, and this is a WSL problem, you probably don't have access to do everything from in that directory. I could be wrong, but that might be the reason. And then you run podman build whatever, right? That's actually kind of secondary to getting WSL working. If you have WSL2 working, you're probably going to be good to go. So, Charles, how you doing? Scenery looks like a computer science map, right? It's beautiful out here. I'm having a nice little break. I really needed a break yesterday. I didn't really get a good break. Hey, Prater7, how you doing? Prater7. So I'm just kind of regrouping and trying to find more time. And it was a pretty spectacular realization that I'm okay not riding my road bike. And anybody who knows me will realize what a big change that for me that is. The happiest time of my life, I was paddleboarding every day, for 2 hours. I would go out paddleboarding for hours, and I would spend time under the sun, and it just chilled me out. And it was there was no chance of me getting hurt at all. It was just me and the outdoors, and if I happened to run across another person on a paddleboard, it wasn't like a competition to see who had the best gear or who could, bunny hop the best, or, who had the best Strava segment time. And it was just relaxation, pure and utter enjoyment and relaxation. And I realized that if I'm going to keep with this lifestyle, that I'm going to have to take it down a notch. The other day when I went biking up into that canyon right there, right at the mouth of the canyon, were these two, great guys, and they were all, lycraed up, and they smelled like cheap cologne, and they went up their canyon and they had their fun, and and I realized that the whole lycra superhero culture applies to mountain biking just as much as it applies to gravel biking. It's killed the spirit of gravel completely. The spirit of gravel is totally dead. The spirit of gravel before was you just wear whatever the fuck, and you go out for a nice gravel ride with your buddies, and you get sprayed with champagne at the end. That's been totally destroyed by this ultra competitive racing. How much time can we spend getting everything faster? And I go through this cycle so many times. I raced crits as a kid, and then I was like, no, I just want to ride. Should I shave my legs? Should I not shave my legs? Should I wear Lycra? Should I not wear Lycra? The reason I started wearing Lycra, honest to God, was because I wanted to get the top times on my Strava segments. Because I got on a Strava, and I got that little box of death, my Garmin, and then I was like, it was all about looking at the Garmin more than looking at the scenery and looking at my power, and I don't know why I let myself get sucked into that. I don't know. I guess I'm just competitive. Multiplayer video games, right? Jack Reacher's actor beat up some guy while riding his motorcycle with his kids. Really? Oh, God. Strava, I got Strava because at first it was motivating me. It was helping me meet new people. It was helping me to have fun. It was helping me be supported and post fun things, And then it kind of turned into something bad. Oh, God. And, hey, Bellum, how you doing? Can you explain Docker how virtualization namespace to C groups in 1 second? No, absolutely, I cannot. I can't explain that. It takes way too long. So, it was a nice change. The gamification made it nice, right? And I'm still, I still like my Zwift bike. I do like that, So I'm like, but even my Zwift bike, lately I've been like, do I really want to ride my Zwift bike? Do I really want to be pushing my competitive nature while I'm on a video game indoors? Or would it be better for me to put an extra coat on and go outside? So one of the things that made me truly happy are being outside. That's the thing that makes me happy. Above everything else, being outside, especially when you're with friends, whether they're virtual or real, that is what makes it fun. You could be camping, you could be exploring, you could be climbing, you could be riding bikes. The thing that makes it fun is you're with a group and you're out there in nature. And you're not fucking competing against each other or chasing down the next person. And just thinking about it stresses me out right now. The stop sign's not looking too good over there. No, it's kind of on a tilted angle. So the thing that I like, this is what I'm proposing. Of course, it's going to take time. What I'm proposing is that I get rid of all my bikes except the Fixie. And that's a pretty radical thing to suggest. But one of the things right away that it's going to do is it's going to keep me slow. I know that it seems like that's going to make me more prone to accidents and stuff, but if I get good riding a Fixie, I am less likely to get in trouble because I'm not going to be racing with cars down Catawba Avenue. Hey, Chris, isn't that great? No, the Fixie's not going to fall apart. It's the steel frame of the Fixie is great. The problem with that frame of that Fixie is the wheels, and I got a new wheel set for $300. I just paid it. I got it. I should not have skimped on the wheels. That entire bike costs as much as an entry-level wheel set on most Fixies. Can Fixie run Doom? Well, so I got an Origin 8 wheel set, which is by far the standard wheel set in the entry-level Fixie world. I'm going to change my mind in 2 days. You must know me. You must know me. I'm not getting... Look, I've got an entire month to make these decisions. I mean, an entire, 6 months, 3 months. Camper van, you're going to get a gravel bike and travel through Europe and explore. Yeah, I think having a bike and a van, those make a good combination. So, for me, I spent a lot of time getting my Demane so that I could ride it in gravel, or I could ride it on mountains, or I could ride it out in the tour, out and around. And so I'm not completely dismissing it. One of the reasons I want to do this is I want to give Gordon my bike. Yeah. Of the other bikes, but you could put them in storage for some. Yeah. My other bikes, I'm keeping them for this summer, but I mean, I really like that mountain bike. That mountain bike is fun because it goes so many places, but it's also super dangerous. Because mountain biking, I don't know. I'm really conflicted about the mountain bike thing. I like hanging out by the lake too, but I can do all of those bike streams and not have a road bike. I can do every one of those streams and ride a fixie. The other thing about the fixie is that it forces me to go slow. I can't go fast. I have to ride safely. You have to ride safely on a fixie or you die. I cannot like ride with cars and chase them and shit like that. And I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Plus, the other thing that kind of spawned this is I really want to get good riding a fixie. And you can't do that if you're constantly going back and forth with a freewheel. You got to ride a fixie. You got to commit. You got to commit to learning fixie riding for a while. And I really want to do that. In fact, I got a new tire set that's like, No more clips of Rob giving the middle finger to trucks driving by, right? If I'm on a fixie, I am more likely not going to be flipping off cars. I will. There's just no way around that. But I'm more likely going to be hopping up on a sidewalk. What's the frame? It's just a simple State Cycles frame. It's a metal frame. It's steel. Steel is real. It's a pretty heavy fixie. But I took the brakes off. I took the brakes off, and with these new wheels that are not aluminum, the wheel set I've got is I think it's aluminum, but it's lighter than the one I have right now, so it should be fine. So, another thing too is fixies are quieter, so they're better for streaming. I think the biggest realization I made is that when I ride my bike, I want to do it with a live stream, and I tried to challenge that premise before by not. I mean, you guys know I went months without streaming, and I try to integrate into the biking groups, and I rode Peloton for a long time. I rode in the Peloton and did the group rides, and I just never really hit it off with anybody. To tell you the truth, I just fucking hate road riders. I always have. I've never really been a road riding asshole, and I have never. Actually, that's not true. The chillest, coolest group I ever rode with was that group of black riders. What is they called? The Cannonballers. That I ran into on accident. They didn't care where they rode. They just rode anywhere. But they were all about the Lycra and dressing all up and having the cool bike and everything. Every time you've been wanting a fixie, but I don't know much about them. But I like a road bike and I absolutely hate, yeah. Well, you can get into the fixie world for like $600. That's another reason I want to do it. My absolute favorite people that I've ever ridden with are the bike messengers. Hands down. The guys that invited me over on the fucking first day for a beer at their house. I don't think I've ever met more personable, amiable, non-judgmental, awesome people. And I remember Kevin. His name's Kevin. I remember Kevin. It's funny, I'm going back down that area, right? I remember Kevin. I gave him my hat. I gave him my Harry Potter hat because I liked him so much because he's so nice. I was like, I got to come to one of your guys' polo games, And they're the ones who let me ride the fixie for the first time. They said, yeah, come out, man. And they do that whole ride for cancer thing, but they do it thug style. They don't pay for a spot. They just go do it anyway. They're so fucking cool. I love everything about them. They're completely irrelevant. They're super fit. They're hyper talented. They love drinking beer. Right in there playing polo. They're my crowd. They're basically the bike equivalent of skate punks. They absolutely are, and that's the fixie culture. That's the urban pixie culture, you know. And yeah, $10,000 blew my mind. Yeah, the road you can't get a road bike, a decent road bike for under $2,000. You can't. You can't even get into the game on under $2,000. I mean, one of the reasons I'm thinking about this is because this is the place to sell all these bikes. When spring hits, selling all my bike gear and my road riding gear, this is the place to sell it. It'll sell like crazy. I'm going to go to like a swap meet, and I'm just going to unload all of my outdoor gear. All my Lycra is going. I cannot believe I dumped so much money on. I got winter boots. I used them maybe 5 times. They were $400. I could have bought an entire Pixie for the money I spent just on my winter boots and Lycra socks. The guy's wife forced him to sell it because he had too many bikes. That sounds about right. You can't have too many bikes. I think you actually can, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to downsize. Oh, I met a guy in Ogden who, Dan is his name. He's gonna maybe help me buy my piano from me. There's another guy from Delta who I might sell it to, but he doesn't want to pay very much. Oh, this is a much better day. I feel very happy. You know what I feel good? I feel good about purging. Purge. Maybe it's because I went through all that shit with all the stuff in the house. I'm like, why do I have all this? And half of the stuff that I have in the house is road bike related. Half of it. The really, really great thing about Pixie riding is how simple your entire life becomes. Because you don't have to worry about tubeless tires, because you want tires that you can skid out on anyway. So you need double wall rubber tires, which already fight against thorns. And then you can just get regular tires, you know, from Walmart or tubes. You don't care. You know, your bike is completely easy to upgrade, and you can pay like a $200 upgrade to your bike is like a ridiculously good upgrade because it's a Pixie. So like, you know, if I were to get a better frame or something, but you don't want to go overboard because you don't want, the whole point of having a Pixie is you get another one next year or sell it, or if it gets stolen, no one's going to cry. And that's why the Pixie culture exists. There's a bunch of ultra poor bike messengers who just wanted a bike that would work, you know, without problems and didn't have a lot of maintenance on the drivetrain, and then they became a thing, and that's why they're still a thing. And I got to tell you, the short amount of time that I spent on it was really great, except for the toe overlap, which I've just been reading, studying about it. The toe overlap is totally fine because you're never going that slow. You never have any problems with the toe overlap because this is something I didn't realize. I've been learning so much about Pixies lately. So the geometry on the bike is a lot shorter, which means that when you do a minor change to the steering wheel, will turn you at speed. It will turn you way more than it would if it's a longer wheelbase. So you don't need a lot of clearance because the tire, when you're moving, the tire is never coming anywhere near your toe because of the geometry. The geometry is so short that it makes it so that it turns more extremely with lesser movement. So that's why the track bikes have it. Track bikes don't have the track bikes. They're going so fast, and the geometry is so tight that when they do need to turn, and you've seen track bikes, they actually turn pretty significantly. But it's because so they weren't morons when they designed it. No, they weren't. They were track riders, and I was wrong. I was screaming my head off, like, what the fuck? What the fuck? It turns out that every single track bike ever has had that. But you don't. This is how you notice it. When you're trying to just turn at slow speed, you're turning the wheel way more than you would ever turn it while it's moving. So you hit your toe, and it's annoying. But what that means is, don't turn at slow speed. Like if you're trying to do a U-turn, you can't really U-turn on a Pixie. That's like You can, but it's much, much harder. Can I have good sources? No, I don't have any. I don't have any good sources. I've just been watching internet YouTube videos. I've been watching YouTube videos, and I've been watching an ungodly amount of Terry B is probably the best person, but he's all about the gravel now. Terry B is my inspiration. That guy was a BMX rider and a skater who became a fixie kind of dude, and he made an entire career out of filming fixies and alley cat races and everything. And I don't necessarily buy into the laws are not for me kind of mentality that comes with fixie riders, but there's a lot of things about a fixies that I really love, and I always have loved. And now I'm kind of like one of the biggest ones is that you can wear regular clothes. You don't have to put like lycra shit on. In fact, it's kind of like frowned upon. People do. Like when they start doing alley cat races, people are starting to wear lycra more and more because they want to be fast. It's funny because alley cat races have turned fixie culture into competition. But I mean, there's going to be a lot of videos from me learning the ways of the fixie world, and so it's been fun. I've always wanted to get into fixie riding. I wanted to get into fixie messenger riding since I was a kid. Since I watched Quicksilver. I was obsessed with cycling, but I was racing crits in the 80s, in the late 80s. And there were stories like breaking away about cycling culture and, Greg LeMond and the Tour de France and all that. And so, but that's a totally different thing. But then right around that time, Quicksilver came out, and I was like, oh my God, I want to be Kevin Bacon. If you haven't seen Quicksilver, Terry B is he's pretty cool. I haven't talked to him in a long time. We don't talk. we have opinions on tech stuff all the time. Fixie rider look like just on 2 and chill. Fixie riding, you don't even think about that. Most fixie riders don't even know what Zone 2 is. They're just hyper fit, and they just ride their bike because they want to ride their bike. They don't think about that shit. Michael Shannon, that one's good too. I watched that one too. So the pedals have to move. That could kind of suck for downhill coasting. You don't downhill coast. That's not a thing. There are people who do downhill coast, but you don't do. Fixie riders are designed. Fixie riding is designed mostly for flat urban areas. If you can't, the fixie riders, like if they do downhill stuff, they'll take their feet off. It's insane. They'll take their feet off the wheels, and they'll use their foot as a brake. They'll use their foot as a brake on the tire. Like if you watch the alley cat, God, they're so fucking talented. If you watch the alley cat racers, when they come in and they have to stop really fast, they'll jump off their pedals and they'll put their foot on their back wheel like a brake and stop the wheel, because otherwise they're just like plowing into whatever. And they do that too. They'll just jump off and throw their bike to the side, because the bike is rock fucking solid. You can't break anything on it. You can't break anything on the bike. That's what's so cool. The thing that's cool is it's like the bikes are so rock solid that, there's no derailleur to bang. There's no brakes to get dinged. There's no gear shifting to get knocked out of whack. Feels like a good way to knock out Rob's teeth. Everybody thinks I'm going to knock my teeth out again. If you do ride a fixie, you just have to accept that you're probably going to go down. But I've been down so much. When I go down on my road bike, it's way worse. When I go down on my road bike, it's at high speed. One of the things that I started getting really uncomfortable with is I was descending at 50, 55 miles an hour during my training. With those aero wheels and everything, there was these big ass hills in the range, in the Mooresville out in the cow country. And you just tuck and you just hit this, and I'm looking down at my speedometer and I'm going, if I hit the ground right now, helmet or not, I am going to be coming away with tons of like broken bones and road rash. Hey, how you doing? Returned at us on a Pixie Huppy. Nice. Well, they do have Pixies where the reverse clutch brake, but that's not what I'm going to ride. Yeah. The biggest reason I want a Pixie beyond everything else is the same reason I got a Hog instead of a Ducati. Because I don't want to go fast. I know I like going fast, but what happens when I go fast? I lost my teeth. The reason I don't have front teeth is because I couldn't get out of the way of the car. Because, number one, I was traveling too fast down that hill. I would never have been going that fast down the hill had I had a Pixie. It would have been slower. I would have been able to maneuver. Plus, I would have been probably able to maneuver more, and I most likely wouldn't have had 3 beers. I might have just had 2. So I would still have my teeth. So, I mean, it's kind of ironic because urban Pixie riding looks more dangerous than road cycling. But I tell you what, the accidents, when you hear about a road cyclist accident, you hear they usually die. Yeah, I'm too old to go fast too. And, I'm not going to go fast. I'm just going to go slow. The biggest challenge is going to be North Carolina hills. Like, if you get on except in the city, yeah, I think Pixie riding in the suburbs is like one of the best things ever. It's like that whole explorer kind of vibe, I really love that your legs never stop moving. I love that. I love that part of it. It's like you're constantly in touch with the bike. Look, I don't know. I haven't even really ridden on the Pixie for more than an hour. I did 1 lap on the Pixie with the bike messengers that let me ride it with his seat that was broken. I mean, that Pixie bike, that guy who let me ride his Pixie bike, he must have made that bike for under $100. And that's actually another reason I really like them, because I kind of want to get into the whole make Pixies out of old bikes thing. Because you can go down to the store and you can make a bike. You can construct a Pixie for under $100, $200. You can like convert it and put your own cogs in there. I learned all about cog ratios. Yeah, so right now I have a 4416, and because it's both even, that means I have 4 skid patches on my tire. Moving back to North Carolina, yeah, for sure. I'm moving back to North Carolina for sure in September. On September 26th, that's my day of departure. You can come watch me on my road trip. Keep me company. I'm going to be by myself. I'm going to be by myself with that big-ass rig towing my car and everything. It's going to be crazy. Another reason I want to... The problem with the Pixie, though, I want to get a Pixie that... The thing about a Pixie is that you really can't take it off urban roads because you have to be able to skid to stop. It's really an urban thing. It's not something... It's not a gravel thing, right? See ya. So... That really has me questioning things, because I really do love riding off-road too. I really do. I like going, out and about and stuff. How come I'm moving? Because my kids already moved. The daughter for whom I moved here moved back to North Carolina, because she met somebody in North Carolina the last week that she stayed with me there. And it turns out that they are living together now. Extremely happy. She's super duper happy. And actually, she was just texting me. Pick up your kids from school, yes. And I also couldn't fathom living far away from Bella and Mark. That is exactly true. Some of my good friends from the live stream. When I'm completely honest, my favorite bike riding, my absolute favorite, I have two favorite bike riding. My favorite bike riding is exploring urban areas. Absolutely, that's my favorite. Suburban and urban areas, like where there's people, like just people watching, stopping at a lemonade stand, like checking the pub out, taking your bike and parking outside the window of like a Brazilian, steakhouse or something. That is really my vibe. I do like being, and my other favorite thing is taking a mountain bike with friends on a really, really great single track trail that's been, taken care of, or a 3-day expedition out in the middle of Moab or something. I like it, but I cannot ride my mountain bike by myself. It's too dangerous. No matter how much I keep talking about Starlink and bike touring and all that stuff, it's completely unrealistic for me to go into the middle of the mountain range and go on a single day on a solo trip and hike through there and come back. I'm more likely to die doing that than any other thing. And people do these big, huge tour divide things, and they have satellites, and they get evacuated when they get hypothermia and everything. And as much as I think that I want to be that guy, I'm really not that guy. I'm not. I'm constantly afraid of bears or whether they're going to come out. Really? And then I'm like, do I really like that? I mean, I like to go out into the wilderness for sure, but I don't know that I want to ever do that by myself. You know what, Shiz? I don't know. SK Hunter, how you doing? The fact of the matter is I like all of it. I really love mountain biking on those roller coaster trails. That is really, really fun. And that mountain biking area is very, very close to my house. I could do that. The problem with that is I will always fall and break something doing that. I will. Eat way more than fixie riding. Way more than fixie riding. If I start to ride on the mountain bike trails, I will break my back eventually. Because that's just how I ride. Like when we get into those mountain bike trails and I'm like weaving in and out of I crashed. How many times did I crash in 1 year? They're not huge crashes. It's like Boulder. No, I know. It's like Bargain Boulder. It's Bargain Boulder. I'm in Logan, Utah. Yep. That's another thing. As much as I like those really, really, really amazing mountain bike trails, it's probably not good for me at 60 years old to be riding intense mountain. But people talk about fixies being bad for your knees. I'm like, you know what's bad for your knees? Taking a 6-foot drop on a hardtail. Yeah, no. I'm more likely to like really fuck up my wrist or my arm or something in a way that's going to stop me from ever riding a bike again for a long time out on the mountain bike trail. And they have, nice, happy, flowy ones for little kids and stuff like that. And I really, really love the pump track. I love it. I love making the jumps and everything. I really, really love it. But I'm going to be 60 pretty soon. And I don't want to fuck my body up so I can't keep staying outside. So I know that's lame, but I need my wrist to climb. This wrist has been tweaked, and it's been a month and a half since I've done yoga. When you get old, you don't repair as fast. So you like tweak one thing and you're screwed because now you can't do a thing with it, right? Paddleboarding, I need my wrist. It strengthens your wrist. Climbing, I need my wrist. Climbing is ultra super safe because it's all indoors. I'm not going to be doing any outdoor climbing pretty much if I move, unless it's a super special occasion. Yeah, so I don't trust myself. If I were to get on one of these mountain bike tracks, like you saw the videos of me. You saw the videos of me doing mountain bike riding. I was like flying through those trails. And like I was one handlebar grab away from getting impaled on a branch. And it was so much fun. Oh my God, I love it so much. But I got to start thinking about, you saw it, right? I mean, it makes super great content. It's really, really fun. It's really exciting. It feels like I'm on indoor. I'm on oh my God, it's just so much fun. It's so much adrenaline. So, but it's an intense exercise instead of kind of a calming exercise. And it also is very, very likely to stick me in the hospital. Like with a serious injury. I mean, remember that one time when I went down and then the guy brought me in. They came out. I was just screwing around by the lake, and I totally turfed it. Every single time I went off trail, there was another time I went down too, and I just laughed about it. There's another clip of me going over the handlebars. I went over the handlebars once too when I was doing that. So every single time I went out on the mountain bike trail, I crashed. Every single time. And the only difference between that and doing it on the road is that the road is harder and you end up coming away with like road rash, which is what I had. I had a really bad road rash on my leg from the time that I went down because it was so slippery. But I was hitting that turn at top speed. I was hitting that turn at top speed and I was like leaning really into it. I would never do that on a fixie. Why USA feels so good. In Aki, how you doing? Many old relatives have suffered in their later just small accidents like falling in the bathroom. But no, when you get older athletes in particular, right? When you get older, you can do one minor thing that so many elderly people end up dead after they have one fall. They have one fall and they screw their leg up and then they got to go to bed and then they end up dying from a blood clot or some shit. This happens all the time. And so basically what I'm trying to do is I'm still very active. I'm not planning on not being active, but I need to start changing. I need to start accepting my limitations if I want to continue to live on and be there for my family, and I want to do other things. Like I want to be able to write books. I really want to be able to write a book. I really want to finish my technical books. I want to finish my technical ability to help people. That's something I can do well into my 90s. And it will keep my brain fresh. It'll give me something to stimulate me mentally. My writing will keep me creative. And then the rest of it is just about staying healthy. At the end of the day, it's mostly about staying healthy and getting outside and being social. It's not about me kicking ass and taking names and being the top of the podium at 60, which I could be, but that's not the goal. The goal is for me is longevity. It's not, flash in the pan, performance. So for that reason, I've had to kind of like really think about this the last couple of days. I've been kind of curating my interests. I remember I did this after my first divorce. I was like, do I really want to be a cyclist? I remember I got my first mountain bike, which I still have, my first since I had the divorce. And I decided to treat myself. Didn't realize that I bought a 26-inch wheel, which is being faded out. I paid way more than I should have. And then I went into the mountain biking trails in in North Carolina, and I would burned up because it was so hot. August in North Carolina is so hot, so hot. And I remember going through August and just sweating and having burning sweat in my eyes and, bugs and just just sweltering heat. And I remember thinking to myself, I need to do something on the lake. This is unbearable. I can't do this anymore. It was just too hot. And then I became obsessed with paddleboarding. And I started, because I would do it at the beach. I would go to the beach. I'd go paddleboard up in the ocean. I would do it in any inlet. Anywhere there was water, my paddleboards were on my car everywhere I went. And I became pretty much paddleboard surfer dude. And I lived under the sun. I wore my swim trunks everywhere. I never put a shirt on in the house. And I was in really, really good shape. I did yoga and I paddleboarded and I ran a little bit barefoot in the morning. That was it. The only time I got on my bike, I started riding my bike. I started riding my skateboard. I started paddling my skateboard instead of riding my bike even around because it was more fun. So I'd take my skateboard to the local pub and everything. And that was it. I lived on either my board or my paddleboard, my skateboard, my longboard, or my paddleboard. That was it. Everything I did. And my bike sat there. I didn't ride it. It just sat there. And I spent all of my energy on yoga and paddleboarding. And I decided to stop, biking. And then, I still like riding the bike to get around and stuff. I still think bikes are a great way to get around town if you want to explore. They're way better to go exploring than a skateboard. Mostly because the skateboards are, So that's where the Fixie comes in, right? Because a Fixie is the world's best urban exploration device. Because most urban areas are relatively flat. There's not a lot of hills. And, you can just own that. So I'm kind of thinking of going back to those roots. I'm going to paddleboard. I actually have more things to do now than I had before. I paddleboard, climb, yoga, and Fixie riding. And I still want to do guitar. And I it's like I have too many things to do. And then I want to live stream and I want to, keep my house clean, which of course is a constant goal. But why am I going through all of this? Because this means I'm going to liquidate all of my camping gear. The only gear I'm going to keep is what's required for me to sleep in my car. That's it. I'm going to liquidate it all. I'm going to get rid of all of it. I have most of those red bins of mine are some form of bike packing or camping gear. And I'm going to put my Aero rack, which I was like, no, that makes my bike look ugly. But I'm actually going to put my Aero rack on the back of my bike, but not so that it has a Starlink. So I can put whatever I want back there. I've also considered if I start Fixie riding, I will always be in range of Moblin. So I could probably get rid of my other account. Now, I'm probably not going to do that because the Pocket 3 is better when I'm not using it with Moblin. I don't know. I'm still trying to decide on that. That's a tough one. If I could get Moblin to work reliably and just go only places that have Moblin, I would not use the Bella Box backpack anymore. And the reason for that is because if I'm riding the Fixie around everywhere and I've got regular clothes on, I can just walk in to any place without it being weird. But the fixie, the position of the fixie, you're like pointing down more. So you kind of need the camera. And as soon as you have the camera, you got the backpack. As soon as you have the backpack, you might as well just do, bellow box. It's not bad, it's just... I think that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, though. I'm going to take bellow box on my back, and then I'm going to put a pack on. I have 2 racks for my fixie. I've been debating about putting the water bottle on there, because I could put a beer or something in there. I could have a front rack, and the problem is if you take racks with you, unless they're bolted onto your bike, and even then, the chances of them disappearing when you park in downtown Charlotte is pretty high. Cool, let's see how many hobbies. I'm just trying to isolate the hobbies. All right, let's go back. This coffee break is over. I'm gonna do some tech stuff when I get back. I have a very rare day off. I have 2 days off this week. Well, and the other big one too is I like just walking. I like just walking around and hiking. And honestly, it's easier on the streaming rig to walk than it is to bike, because the movement is what causes it to be difficult. I remember we were in that canyon. We were just walking up there, and it was streaming just fine. It was fine. It's only when I started moving really quickly that we started having problems, which makes me kind of want to attempt a hike up there with the pack. I kind of want to do that now. I mean, that would be fun around here. I want to hike to the top of that mountain and stream the whole thing and see. I want to see if it can be streamed. Are you getting an F? Are you getting an F? Why the F? Oh, I fucking hate this internet. I hate it. I have no idea why it does that. I should probably put my router on, but then, I don't know. I need a switch and not a router, because I don't want a VPN in the way. It's insane how many outages we have with the internet here. You know, those outages would not happen if I was not streaming here. Because I'm streaming through Moblin, and the other thing, I should be streaming straight to the stream. You know, the outage protection. In fact, let's figure that out. I'm going to go back home. I want to find a better provider, a better bellow box provider. Actually, I don't need a better bellow box provider. I need a computer that can stream to bellow box. I need a computer that's just online all the time. The built-in switch protection sucks ass. And I don't want to use the IRL one again. Oh my God. That was a disaster. Another reason that was a disaster is because it was like a turnkey thing. If I do this, I want to have full OBS access to a system. But I kind of, well, we're going to move and I'm not going to be able to stream. So we might as well think about that now. Let's go figure that out. I got some time today. Let's figure that out. We need to, I think if I host it in Catawba, I could move my OBS over there and then it would always just be available. And then I wouldn't have to ever, if I wanted to live out of the car, I could. I can't really do that right now. I have to have my computer attached. The only problem with that is if I decide to, if I decide, I could use a virtual private server, but the only problem with that is I can't use all the XClip stuff, like all the clip tools and everything that I have. I can't, those are all, they'd have to be running on a computer that had MPV on it or something. Hey, you can buy RDBX micro server, hell yeah. It's time for lunch anyway. The problem I have with that is I can't do the clips. I guess I could. I guess if I streamed, no, because that would always be subject to my internet connection. Desktop Linux on the server. You could probably install Desktop Linux on the server, but then things like the clips and stuff, those wouldn't work. I wouldn't see them. You guys would see them. More money to do it that way, but even if you install Desktop Linux, you can do clips. I mean, the only problem with that is how hard it is to... I mean, I could do it. I would just have to stream from my laptop to that service. And so I'm already going to have OBS on. And then it's like, where does the clip go, right? You put it on... Yeah, for now, I think we're just going to have to deal with the internet being shit. Because but we do have to think about it, because when I move, in order to move, I'm going to have a server set up. Like when we did the last move, we streamed to RTIRL, I think, right? When we did the move, we were streaming to RTIRL just with Moblin directly, which is way too much money. It's like $120 a month. It's insanely high. It should not be that much money. But then the expenses start to creep up at that point. It still says I'm here. What? How many? 6,000 kilobits per second with no drop frames. Okay, so someone explain to me how I have no drop frames and no internet still. That doesn't make sense. I need food. I should make some eggs. Was it an app? Was it an app, or was it something more than app? We're going to be out by ourselves tomorrow, and Gordon's taking off. answer. It was a stream ending thing. That leaves many questions to be answered. I'm sure there's a more reliable. What are the alternatives to IRL Toolkit? Maybe there's something. No rip. What's no rip? You remember no rip? I remember Hitch used to use that. Oh my god, this sausage is so good. Power IRL. First time hearing of that one. I think for IRL, that's definitely the way to go, though. Not to mention, I could completely live out of my car, which I want to try. At least 1 year, I want to live out of my car. Completely. An entire year. I want to go to Quartzsite. I want to live down there. Gordon puts this with cheese on it and makes a grilled cheese sandwich and sausage thing. It's absolutely decadent. Jeez. My teeth must not have. They still don't hurt. You said you might have pain, and I'm like, I can't even feel my tooth. But it's not dead. I said, well, you're lucky. I don't know if I should be worried or not. He said, don't lose sleep over it, it's fine. I'm like, okay. Somebody's been cooking onions. Apparently 4 is the magic number of eggs per day. So I've been told. Yeah, we got a new wheel set coming. I'm actually going to buy a new hub and rebuild that wheel, so then I'll have 2 wheel sets in case the tires wear down or whatever. What are they? What? Yeah. Cheese. Cheese. Make some headway, I guess. I have so many bowls. I kept thinking I was going to entertain people. Wrong. Sometimes I wonder if biking at all is going to be too much to add. I should just paddleboard and run and climb. If I go climbing twice a week, which is not too much to overwhelm you got to watch out for climbing, because you climb too much and it overwhelms your joints. Your pulleys in your fingers, they get overwhelmed, especially as you age. So I'm not going to be, I want to climb more than that, but it's physically bad for me to climb more than 2 nights a week. It's actually good for you because it does trigger growth of your, if you do it wrong, you end up with osteoarthritis. But if you do it right, it fights against osteoarthritis because you're working your fingers and stuff in a good way. So. I don't even know where I put that. Here I guess. Oh God. Yeah, that whole going on these long bike tour ideas, it's not sustainable because I can't take a bunch of tech with me. So, how much do I want to do it? A lot of people do it. Sarah does it. Sarah Bridgewater does it. A lot of people do it, but I don't know. I still think it'd be funner to go to a town and then have a bike and then ride around in the town. It's just me. Here we go. Go for our sunny side. Did Jordan get into this festival? I hope he did. I bet he did. Did you tell you guys that? I haven't talked to him about it yet. I should ask him. Wait, what's that? Why is there coffee there? Hey, Gordon. Yeah? Did you get into the festival? Oh, huh? I'm nervous. Probably a no. Uh-oh, my battery. I don't know, they're still processing? Camera's off. Check. Yeah, the little mini camera doesn't show up sometimes. Don't know why. Let's see. Yeah. Spooky. We've been here a few times. We have a pretty good meetup. Anyway. This is where Kevin works.
Things that I do on a standard bicycle, I like to bring that over into my motorcycles. I love to just strip it down and make it as simplistic as possible.
Make it unique.
Yeah, make it unique, make it my own. I'm gonna keep on doing it until I can't do it no more.
My name's Jake from Prism Supply, and this is our series, My Garage. Today, we're in the heart of Charlotte, North Carolina, at our buddy Dred's spot, Spoke Easy. We're gonna get an insight to Dred's workspace, outside and inside, as well as a little bit about what Spoke Easy does.
We are a small bike shop. We're very different than most shops here in Charlotte that stock hundreds of high-end stock bikes. We're more of a custom shop. We do custom builds, custom repairs.
Mostly vintage stuff or new stuff or a little bit
It's
of
all
everything?
over the board. We do vintage bikes, but we also do newer custom builds. We're more into bikes that everyday people ride. You know, you don't have to wear spandex or the kits to come to our shop or get a nice bike from us.
I remember the first time coming here and seeing this patio space and being like, wow, this is so impressive because it's in the heart of Charlotte. There's big, tall buildings all around us, but yet you have like this large killer patio space. So tell me a little bit about the patio space and what you guys do here.
One of our goals is to have one of the best patios in Charlotte. We want to be a community hub. So a lot of people come here to have their lunch, cool off after a ride, maybe read a book and just enjoy the day. One of the greatest things I love is when I come down from my office and the patio, you know, is kind of hopping and you'll see like a 18-year-old kid that has, you know, like the saggy jeans and, you know, ripped up t-shirt, and then a doctor from the hospital down here, and you know, a lady in her nice dress. You know, it's just a whole eclectic crowd. You know, Charlotte's a friendly city, and we're just trying to nurture that. One of our cool features on our patio that I love is our archway right here. Most people don't realize this is all made of bike frames.
That's awesome.
And
I actually didn't even notice that because it's got so much growth on it. So I also see like there's killer artwork everywhere in this place. Obviously, like you're super into art. Tell us a little bit about where your inspiration comes from for this art. Do people come to you and say, hey, I want to paint something on your wall? What does that look like?
my two partners and me, we're all architects. So we have a design background. So we're really into art. Every once in a while, we'll have somebody paint a panel and we'll hang it in the shop, or panels on the back wall and the patio. We just love to celebrate artists and showcase their art.
I really like this old print it's a reproduction print from 1923. That's crazy, but you gotta think, this was all done by hand.
Exactly.
Whoever was designing this, they didn't have a computer or anything, so all this was hand sketched, which I'm sure you really appreciate from a architectural perspective.
This actually came from my son. He got me 4 prints of Harley Patton's remakes of them. They're placed, sporadically around the shop, but I really love this one and love the hand-drawn aspect of it. And it's not just a piece of machinery, it looks like a piece of art.
Give us a rundown of your bike here.
It started out as a 97 Heritage Classic.
Obviously doesn't look like that anymore.
Yeah, totally stripped it down. No extras on it. Just what you need to get down the street.
That's right. It's crazy how much this bike has transitioned, because it was a stock looking bike before this, and you've done all this work to simplify it and make it look clean and classic.
Things that I do on a standard bicycle, I like to bring that over into my motorcycles. I love to just strip it down and make it as simplistic as possible.
Make it unique.
Yeah, make it unique, make it my own. I'm gonna keep on doing it until I can't do it no more.
You're a heavy bicycle enthusiast, a community enthusiast. I know that you love motorcycles as well, and that's evident throughout the space.
My whole life, I've always been a two-wheel enthusiast. I started racing bikes at 7, and at that age, I fell in love with dirt bikes too. Our family couldn't afford the motorcycles at the time, but I was always riding my friends' motorcycles. When I finally got out of school and was able to afford my first bike, it was a CB350. Just ripped on that until I got out of college, started a family.
What is it that you love about a Harley?
I love anything with culture. I love continuing that culture. Doesn't matter what style you ride, or even like when I first met you guys, I came in with my 97 Evo, and you guys never like, oh, that's not a 54 or something like that. That's not a panhead, get out of here. You guys brought me in, part of the community, and we've been friends ever since, and I love it.
That's right.
So that's what I love about cycling, and that's what I love about motorcycles.
Dread, how'd you get the nickname Dread?
That's a funny story. It's not a nickname. My name is Dread Fire.
You were born into your hair.
Yeah. What came first, the chicken or the egg? That's always my question. Did the hair or the name come first?
Nothing to do with dreadlocks.
Nothing to do with dreadlocks. I'm a Rastafarian, and dread is a term of endearment in the Rasta community. Dread means God-fearing, and fire is the patois word for fire. So basically, my name means earth with the fear of God in you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so.
This is like an old 80s, 90s Survivor road bike. It looks like it's in incredible condition.
We love our bikes to be period correct, be as original as possible, and that's
cool.
What this is. This is a 1990 Specialized Allay. This is before they figured out how to bond carbon together. So it
That's
has
like
that
what all
classic
these joints
look.
are.
Yep, these are called lugs. This is a carbon aluminum lugged bike. That's the only way they could figure out how to connect carbon tubes together back in the day. This was one of the first models ever made that way. This would be my favorite station right here is my wheel building station, my truing stand, and my spoke wrenches. Wheel building is like my meditation. It's where I get real zen. I lock myself in, fine tune it.
Which is very similar to a motorcycle
Yeah,
wheel.
very
That's all
similar,
the
it's just
same.
a smaller scale.
That's right.
Yep. Spend many hours either standing here or sitting down at the bench, knocking out wheels.
Tell me about this bike. Obviously, looks like a custom job. What was it for? Why'd you
This
guys
is
do it?
definitely a full custom. As you can see, it's 2 bikes put into one. The lower frame was a Schwinn. The upper frame is a old classic Huffy. And we married them both together, which is called a tall bike. The idea around a tall bike is to make it as ridiculous as possible and as tall as possible. I mean, we've seen people make them 3 high, 4 high, tandemed out, double seated. And this one was made by one of our local friends. His name is John Poe. He's the welder.
And I can see it right there.
Yep.
Oh. Do you think I can ride it?
Oh, you could definitely ride this.
Really? It seems like it'd be tough to balance. Like, so.
Nah, once you get going, it's just like riding a bike.
You just gotta send it. You just gotta commit to it.
Yeah, you just gotta commit
just
to
like
it.
riding a bike. All right, Dred. So you've obviously built this incredible community. You built this awesome bicycle shop, bar, retail space. You're an architect. What's next for you?
Me and my partners, our goal for this shop moving forward is we're trying to change the idea of what a bike shop is or was. We're trying to build a community around cycling, and it's not just coming to the bike shop to get your bike worked on, but also being, involved in architecture too. One of the things here in Charlotte they're doing is building communities that don't allow cars. There's a certain dollar value that goes to having a parking space. So now these apartment complexes have to up your rent that much to accommodate for the parking spaces. So to get rid of parking spaces, you can have more affordable living.
That's right. That makes sense.
So we're in the forefront of that, of outfitting these apartment buildings with bike rooms, bike garages.
So that you see the future of Spokeasy as like being more plugged into the local neighborhoods, the local communities.
That's what we're building to, and we're actually working at this right now. And we do a lot of events with a lot of the big corporate companies uptown where they do team building events or company picnics, things like that. And we'll set up there and we'll give them free tune-ups. It's just building the community around bikes and making sure people feel safe commuting and getting around by bike and know how to do it.
You have an incredible space. You're doing awesome things as a business, also as a community. We're thankful for you to be a part of this local Charlotte community. Thanks for all you do. Where can we find you?
You can find us in 3 spots on social media. You can find us on Instagram at the Spokeasy CLT.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna rethink how I do this. I could either put the chrome. If I put a chrome bag on, it's gonna look less weird. It's not gonna call as much attention because it'll all be hidden. It would just be the camera in the front. That would be the only thing people would see. Then again, if I do moblin, I can just put a phone attachment right there. Like if I'm chrome cycling around on the Bixie, I don't need Bellabox. It's time for me to go. Let's go raid somebody. Oh, we can raid T. We can raid Dima.
Yeah, we made it. We hit all the little detours in the park, and now we're heading home.